Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm not very good at this stuff. But anyways, it's really great to be here. I am not standing between you and lunch, which is a good thing, but I am standing in front of you at lunch and you want to eat. So I'm not going to take too long a time, but I have some really interesting things to share with you that we're excited about at the OAAA. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek of a research study that we're releasing tomorrow that I think will land really well with this crowd. But before I get into that, I do want to tell you very briefly who we are, because if you don't know, you have to know. We are the largest, and I would say the leading trade association for out-of-home media in the US, Out-of-Home Advertising Association of America. And we do a few different things. We do a lot of research, we do a lot of market making, we put on events, we speak, we bring people together, traditional trade association stuff. But we also work a lot on standards and frameworks and guidelines for the industry that makes it easier for out-of-home to be transacted and also to click into other media formats. So very much like an IAB, but specifically for the out-of-home industry, but in collaboration with IAB, ANA, and the 4As. And then finally, and I think our legacy, where we come from, and a big part of both our mandate and what we do is lobbying for the industry. So we work on things that are specific to the industry. That could be around First Amendment, real estate, something called the Highway Beautification Act, which decides how many signs you can see on highways today, but also increasingly interested in things like data and privacy and other things that are coming into the out-of-home industry. And of course, that's important for digital out-of-home. Not going to go into all of that very much today, but I'll touch a little bit on the privacy piece in my presentation. But like I said, the main reason for me being up on stage today is to give you a sneak peek of a research study that we are releasing tomorrow. So, shh. And again, it's a quite complicated study with a lot of data in it, so I'm not going to give you all the detail on stage. If you have any questions, come to me and I'll try and explain it better off stage, because otherwise this will be an incredibly boring presentation. But anyways, where are we now in out-of-home in the US? Well, it's going pretty well. We are close to $9 billion, or we were close to $9 billion in 2023, with a projected growth that I'm pretty sure we'll hit for this year of 5.9%. So we're closing in on $10 billion slowly but surely. Distribution of the medium, and that's, by the way, digital and static out-of-home in combination. Distribution is, as you can see, the leading category by far is roadside and billboards, but transit is right behind it, or not right behind it, but behind it, and a category that is growing really fast right now. Then we have place-based, and then we have what's called, or actually then we have street furniture, and then we have place-based. So out-of-home is a really broad media channel. We are all out-of-home, but it's many different formats, and the secret sauce is really in utilizing all of them in an efficient way. This year has been a great year for us. These are the Q2 numbers that we released a few weeks ago. We reached $2.78 billion for the second quarter, which is absolutely record-breaking for the industry, highest quarter ever. So growth is strong. Where is the growth coming from? Well, digital out-of-home is a main driver. It's growing faster than any other part of out-of-home. And then, of course, specific categories underneath. This year is a big political year, as I think we all know, and it's been a great year for the industry. We have previously not been a huge platform for political advertising, but it's really taken off now. And I think it's very much because of the ability to use digital, the ability to use data, and the unique ability that our medium has to get in front of underserved audiences, multicultural audiences, and be in places where it can actually change people's mind, which is not very easy in today's day and age if you go to traditional media. So political has been a strong driver in the second quarter, and I expect this quarter to be an even better one, but those numbers aren't out yet. Secondly, transit media platform that had a tough time during the pandemic has really busted back and had the strongest growth of all in Q2. Top brands are spending in out-of-home. Out of our top 100 advertisers, almost 2/3 of them increased their spending in this year, and the few of the biggest ones are going to more than double. I'm talking about brands such as Molson Coors and 7-Eleven and many others. So it's a good year for us, and it's a good year with the strong brands. Tech has always been a major category in out-of-home. Interestingly enough, the companies that are the least sort of out there on the streets are spending the most money in out-of-home: Apple, Google, Amazon, and others. And then, of course, a lot of D2C brands have embraced the channel. So lots of good news on the growth front. If we take a little bit of a closer look at the distribution, because this is a digital out-of-home summit, today, about 67% of the revenue, and a little bit more, I would say, of the inventory is static. But digital out-of-home is where most of the growth is coming from. This year, it's going to grow by 16%. And by 2027, it's going to be 45% of all out-of-home media, which is almost half. So it's a very interesting space to be, for sure. Programmatic is driving a lot of that growth. Programmatic will probably reach around $1 billion today. And by 2026, it's going to be 30% of all digital out-of-home advertising. So programmatic is really leading the way, because of the ability to use data to connect to other channels and be more efficient in out-of-home and do things that you couldn't do before. So a lot of the drivers are coming from there. And I think we heard this. We've heard a lot of great presentation here with proof points. I'm glad I can deliver a few more. But one of the reasons it works so well, and one of the reasons that a lot of brands want to buy digital out-of-home, is how efficient it is. And this is a stat from one of our latest Harris Poll studies that shows that 93% of those who noticed a directional out-of-home ad or digital out-of-home ad visited the business and then made a purchase. So that's an incredible number, obviously, an incredible proof point for why brands should lean more into out-of-home, and specifically digital out-of-home. Another thing that's going pretty well I wouldn't say, another issue that the industry overall has in advertising is, of course, around the loss of signal, the ability to not reach and target consumers in the same way. The cookie may be remaining, but it's already started to crumble, and it probably won't be around for long. Brands have already figured out other ways to kind of move past it. And with privacy and data regulation today, you cannot target consumers the way you're used to in the traditional quote-unquote channels, such as the internet and social media and others. So that's an issue for the industry, but that's a place where out-of-home can help as a one-to-many media, and a media where you can target in a much better and more efficient way using location and context, and in a way that consumers do not feel threatened by, targeted, or kind of followed around. So digital out-of-home is a media that can actually benefit from the loss of signal and can be a valuable addition to other media formats to strengthen them in a time when it's kind of hard to use data in the way that we're used to in advertising. So two other media channels where out-of-home really can amplify the strength is around the two fastest growing channels, and I think we've talked about them before today, and we'll continue to talk about them, mainly CTV and retail media. Out-of-home can help lead to retail media. Out-of-home is a medium that can lead to the store and also can lead from the store and continue to amplify the consumers that have been targeted through retail media channels. And a lot of retail media networks are leaning into out-of-home and adding it to their media mix because it works so well. The other one is CTV. If we lead to retail media, CTV leads to us. If you target someone with a CTV impression today, you may not know exactly who that is, but you know where they were. So use out-of-home to create an audience extension and just amplify and improve the campaign effectiveness through out-of-home. So out-of-home is there in the center, and out-of-home is really a medium that shouldn't be thought of as a standalone as much as a medium that can make other channels better and more efficient while increasing consumer perception and brand awareness. And with that, we wanted to get some proof points for how it actually really works. We hear a lot, I hear a lot, and I think a lot of my industry colleagues here hear that out-of-home is so hard to measure, it's not very efficient, it doesn't show up in media mix models, so therefore we don't spend as much on it. So we decided that we're going to try and prove that it really works, and worked with a company called Benchmarking to get some stats for how out-of-home really delivers in a campaign when you add it to the mix or when you create more allocation. Basically, the concept or the real fact here is that if you have a campaign that you're running, without changing any of the actual total budget spend, just reallocating the budget to out-of-home, the campaign can become so much more efficient. And this research shows it. The first round that we released last year, it showed that if you increase your campaign spend in out-of-home, anywhere, and again, it's just moving money from overspent other channels. That could be digital, that could be social, that could be television. Move some of the overspent dollars that aren't working for you, move them into out-of-home, and you can improve the sales ROI with quite impressive numbers, anywhere between 5 to 27%. And tomorrow, we're releasing the second phase of this study that like I said before, has a lot of great meat to it. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but it shows specifically for 3 channels that we took a look at how out-of-home can deliver better in the campaign mix. That was retail, CPG, or grocery retail, CPG, and automotive. And it shows, again, that it increases brand awareness and brand consideration and purchase, and also makes the campaign so much more efficient. And it's really in the initial stages, if you divide it into phases, that you can get the most bang for your buck. So if you look at the retail grocery category, you could see that if you take the initial investment of where it usually is very under allocated, 8% of out-of-home, and you bring it up to 14%, you can get to $16.4 million extra value. And if you do it if you look at the campaign as a whole, that can create 61% increase of the total optimization. So very, very impressive result. And in total, the whole campaign is, of course, going to get so much better with out-of-home for, again, no initial investment, just using the same campaign budget, but just moving more money over to out-of-home. The 2 other categories we looked at had very similar results, or good results, I would say, maybe not as effective, but big ones still. Automotive, we're just allocating from 1 to 2% of out-of-home spend. The campaign gained initial value of $52.1 million. And for CPG food, again, another percentage shift from 5 to 6%, and a $2.42 million increase. So these are really impressive numbers, and there's even more great meat in this report that, again, speaks to the value of using an under-allocated media, just increasing a little bit, and all the other media works better for you. So that's really what I'm here to talk about, those numbers. But end of the day, the channel, there's a lot of talk here about data and targeting and how you can be more efficient in programmatic and in digital, et cetera, et cetera. And those are all great drivers for the industry and great ways of amplifying out-of-home. But the strength in the medium is really what the medium is. It's what Mark Tutzel, a very well-known creative who was one of our main Obie judges, our award show a couple of years ago, he said that out-of-home is the theater of the street. It's the square where people meet. And it's really a medium that's both there in the present, and it's a medium that connects to all the other media channels, but that creates community, has incredible creative opportunities, and changes the world and creates landmarks. So there's really nothing like it. Whether it's a small screen or a large screen, on the go or in a more kind of static environment, out-of-home delivers incredible value. And I think the numbers speak for themselves and the creatives speak for themselves. So glad to be here. Incredibly inspiring to hear from all the great brands that I've spoken today, and will continue. I just look forward to spend more time with you. Any questions on the research or anything else, come see me. Thank you.